So, Lenore, would you just give a quick introduction of yourself and maybe how long you've been taking pictures at Carnival?
Oh, probably about maybe 5 years or so. Um, I can't really remember, but I know that I've got images over the last 4 or 5 years, I think.
What made you start taking photos at Carnival?
I don't even remember. I think part of it is because I usually have friends that are in it. They're dancers, things like that. And one of the favorite parts for me is getting down there early to get the cars. So I usually start off with the classic cars.
Okay, well, that was the next thing I was going to ask. What is
Yeah,
one of your favorite things to
that's
photograph?
one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this one's great. And this one's from 2016. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Robert, can we see the next one?
This is probably early on. People are just starting to get ready, as I recall.
The very beginning of the parade, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because I usually get down there early, like around, I don't know, before 10 o'clock to get a good spot. Usually on the corner of, I think it's 17th and Mission, where the cars normally turn, where all the contingents normally turn and go
Yeah.
toward Harrison. Yeah, so I'm always taking pictures from before the parade actually gets going.
Which is some of the funnest time to take pictures when everyone's prepping and you can get up close
Yeah.
and personal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right, Robert, how about the next one?
Whoa.
I really like the interaction in this one.
So that's a great moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I take a lot of stuff as I go along, but I really like to focus on, these human interactions.
Nice.
And that one, she was coming right at me. I was right on the corner there, up against the barricade.
Yeah, great shot.
Another one.
You really like the people in stilts. Oh, that's a cool shot.
Yeah, I like that one.
Was this at the blessing in the beginning?
It might have been on the early side, so probably.
Very neat.
Yeah, very nice.
And this was before everything got going. I think this was like a little further south. I think this particular year I went where a lot of people were just kind of getting ready and lining up.
In the staging areas.
Yeah.
Are these kids?
I think they're pretty young. Maybe teenagers, I'm not sure.
Very neat.
And here we are with the cars again.
Nice color combination.
Mm-hmm. Now this one is closer to 24th and Mission.
He's actually midair, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I really like this one.
Is this is where they're making a turn maybe on the 17th?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times, the individuals will come along and they'll do an extra spin or something like that. And I got lucky that year.
Are you using some sort of a wide angle lens? Do you remember what lens this would have been?
Well, I'm using a Lumix Panasonic. It's a bridge camera, the FZ 1000. So there's no, it is sort of wide. There's no interchangeable lens, but it's fairly fast and I can shoot in camera raw.
Nice. Yeah, the detail is really beautiful.
And then your things. Lenore, I have a question for you, and I guess I'd like to ask it of all the photographers. Um, do you ever, I don't know, strive to connect the people in the photos with the, with who you've taken the photo of to get them a copy? Or like, is there ever like a little kid or something that you just make a connection with and give them a card or something? Does that ever happen?
No,
Yes.
that's never happened.
Okay.
It has with me because I've gotten to know a lot of the photographers now. So
Yeah.
I did give out some of my business cards, and I did email some of the pictures to the performers.
I share them on Facebook, and they end up getting tagged. Somebody always knows somebody, and then they collect them and stuff like that. And
It's happened to me too, although sometimes, Terry, Facebook tags the wrong person.
well, you got to be careful.
And they
You
think
really
I
gotta be careful.
do it.
If it puts a tag on and I don't know that person, I'll take the tag off, and verify it. But
So,
sometimes if you can go to that particular person and see if it's the same person.
For sure. These are Jay's photos. Jay, tell us about this photo.
But I need to refer to what I wrote on that one. I think it's one second. Give me.
That's cool.
Yeah, that one's
I
awesome.
just like the wings. I think this is probably second time I saw her. I don't know. It's the same person, but the same group though.
Yeah, she does the big
Yeah.
huge costume at least the past 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
That's,
fact
I think.
that she can, that she can push that, it's amazing. You got a great expression on her face.
Right. Yeah, I think that is the thing. I like the costume and the huge wings. Those are amazing. I think it's Caribbean Vibrations, I think that is the group. This was from 2019. I had a similar shot from 2018, but obviously different wings, different colors, and all kinds of stuff.
It's amazing.
Jay, when did you start taking pictures of Carnival?
2015. So I used to go and attend different meetup groups. This was before I met Robert. So at that year, it so happened we all gathered at the same 24th and Bryant, and somehow we got the passes there. So we didn't apply. 5 years ago, things were different, right? So they gave us passes, and we were all thrilled. Oh no, we can go into the parade and take pictures. So that's how I started. So I couldn't stop from there. So
Well,
when he said before he met me, the translation is now he blames me, so his wife hates my guts because I take him away to all these events.
well, now he's been so reliable. We rely on him.
Exactly. And I have a good guess where this is, Jay, but please fill everybody in. Where was this taken?
yeah, so this one is from this year's Mardi Gras. So this was from the parade. So these guys were walking. I think I also met Michael. We were chatting and then ran and caught up with this group. And so I like anytime somebody makes a eye contact with your camera, so that gets the best picture. So it rarely happens. Because everybody's busy in the parade. So, but here, so he was looking right at the camera, so kind of like that, and also the background sun and stuff like that. That's the reason I like. This one, I believe, again, 2019. So I like how they are. Both of them are so happy in the parade. I think she was the queen in 2018, I think, right?
On
So
the left.
2018.
On the left.
Yeah, on the left. Yeah.
Yep, that was our previous queen in 2018.
Yeah, previous queen, and yeah. So just like the happy.
Can you talk about if you have any recollection? What, like, your equipment's one thing, but how you took this picture, how you're able to capture it, especially with the lighting and everything. It looks like it was it was one of the ones that was overcast. It looks like it was overcast at the time, but can you talk a little bit about
Right.
and maybe just in general, what you're usually, what you usually do to capture this stuff?
Right. So the thing is, before the parade, I mean, we have enough time. I try to shoot in manual. So obviously, once I come to the parade, I go into aperture priority. So obviously, I don't want to mess with too many things because you have to capture the moment. I mean, settings are settings, right? So, of course, you can do wonders in post-processing. So generally try to shoot in aperture priority. So last year, I think I shot with a 24-70 and also had a 85 mm, carry two cameras. So yeah, so I mean, overcast sometimes works out better because you don't get some crazy shadows, and especially you have trees all over the place. I mean, I don't generally go to the mission. I just shoot here, right? So here there are a lot of trees, a lot of shadows. If I mean the sun is bright, it kind of helped this overcast situation. So
that was going to be my next question.
Right.
You know, Lenore talked about where she usually likes to stand. Where you like to be is usually on 24th by the trees.
Yeah, I mean, just for convenience factor. I mean, because I didn't want to go all the way to the mission to shoot. Maybe I'll try sometime, either this year or next year. That gives a different perspective, especially those red color on the street. Sometimes that gives a different perspective. That is something which I've seen from other people's shots.
Oh, that's terrible. I hate that. It's so annoying. It gives everything a red cast. It's just
I know who the
irritating.
woman in the middle is.
There's Chrissy.
She looks familiar. Yep.
Yeah.
Chrissy
group.
Costello and
Yeah.
Orso
Yeah.
from Marin
this
County.
Yes, this one is also, let me check. This is also last year, but this one is before the parade. They were all practicing, and obviously, if you know the people, you get the best shots because that's how it works, right? I mean, if you know them, I mean, obviously they smile at you, then the shot becomes even better. So it's good to know the people, then your shots start becoming better. So because they kind of look at you, look at the camera,
make
and
that connection.
smile and stuff like that. Yeah, so they have that connection. So that really helps. So otherwise, you'll be shooting from a side. I mean, it's okay, but it's always somebody making an eye contact with your camera gives a much better pictures. Yeah, this one, obviously nobody is looking at me. So, but I just like the costume and the colors. It looks like you're in a totally different world here. I mean, so that's the part I liked, how the costumes are and so vibrant and color. So this one, Robert, I think is last year's, right?
I think so.
Yeah, this one is last year's too.
Oh, I know who this is. This is the group that came up from Texas, from South Texas.
Yeah, right. So this one was from the festival last year. Yeah, so I think there are a lot. They're from some college in Texas, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So they did an amazing job. I mean, the whole group.
Spinning dresses.
Right. And just like the elegance of the dancer and how the pose, and of course the costumes were amazing. Actually, I think they had like some blue and red and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was, and they danced very well too in the festival.
Oh, cool shot.
Yeah, the cars. I mean, I love these cars. I mean, I also go to other lowrider events to take pictures, and especially when things line up like this. And I also like the shallow depth of field here. And the other thing is the person inside the car, she's taking a video while sitting there. So they just like this, the whole picture here.
It's an interesting perspective. It's not exactly straight, and I think it adds some coolness to the shot.
Right.
Oh yeah, your famous photo.
Yeah, this one again. I always talk about eye contact, right? So that makes it. I mean, somebody pointing at you, looking at you, makes and of course all those colorful feathers. Yeah, this one I like. I still think this is the best shot so far in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Jay, this shot of Jay's hung when we had that exhibition a couple of years ago, and a lot of people love this photo. Oh, Diana from La Cumbiamba Colombiana.
Yeah, so yeah, interestingly, I didn't know her in 2015. So this is the first time probably I was in the parade. So again, how she posed for the shot, it was amazing, even though she was dancing and probably she was singing too. I mean, you can see, yeah, so it turned out great.
Vanessa.
Again, yeah, same group. In 2018, I think I did a lot of their rehearsal shots with Robert. So we used to go almost every other week, Robert. So fortunately, that year they were actually rehearsing in where Sunnyvale, Mountain View. It was much easier for me to go from Cupertino rather than going to San Mateo and San Francisco. So I was kind of almost went for most of the rehearsal that year.
Yeah, that was during our 40th year celebration when we were following the rehearsals.
Right.
Yes.
So since I had watched them rehearse, so they were all in action. So
that's one thing I wanted to talk about with the different photographers is the relationships that have been built since you started taking photographs, and how like that, I think that's an important part. And I think it's been so much fun to see the personal relationships some of the photographers have with the different groups. It's really a beautiful thing. And I've watched it grow with myself and several of you photographers. And it's really, we're really so appreciative, because being able to see behind the scenes and seeing all the hard work that comes up to that day is just as important as seeing that one day for those couple of hours. So I want to thank you. You've been one of the ones that have done all those extra events, and we really appreciate that, being able to show that. And I know the groups really do as well.
thank you.
Yeah. Quick question for everybody, for all the photographers. So most people that know of Carnival San Francisco know of the parade, right? But we know in terms of subjects, like what we can capture, there's the parade itself, there's the staging before the parade, and then there's the festival. Maybe each of you could talk about between shooting the parade, shooting the staging, shooting the festival. What sort of are your favorites? 1, 2, 3 of it. Maybe Mr. Kirshner, you could start.
Boy, I like shooting the audience in particular during the parade.
The audience.
It's always extremely interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I noticed that
Stunning.
in such depth. I asked Michael last year if he would focus and give us some of his crowd shots. So,
which I probably didn't do. I don't know.
You may have, but yeah, can you just talk about that a little bit? I would love to hear. Like, do you make contact with him first, or do you catch him candid?
Oh God, no. I'm a street photographer, so everything is candid. Although sometimes I will point to a group of people and say, "I want to take your picture. Let me take your picture," and I get the shot. I hand them my business card, and I may or may not hear from them to be able to give them a shot. The festival is awesome also. I'm also a rock and roll photographer, so I am very comfortable jumping up on stage and taking pictures on stage of the musicians and everything going on there. So that's fun as well. Then, everything else is cool too. So it's 2 days of just total immersion, right?
Lenore, what about you? Between those different categories, do you have favorites?
I think for me, it's getting ready behind the scenes, or getting there early enough, like I say, to see the vendors getting together and starting up. And then I do know a few friends who are part of various salsa groups and stuff. So that one year that I took those 2 young women, I was down there trying to catch a friend of mine, because I knew where she was going to be, getting set up and everything. So I went down there and took some pictures of her and her group. took a few pictures of people that, you know, I asked if, you know, they would mind posing, and they were, you know, pretty accommodating and everything. So I got some nice shots there. And then I went running back to, you know, where I wanted to position myself for the parade. I usually don't last long enough to get to the food and stuff later. I'm so exhausted by then. I just want to go home and process the hundreds of photos that I have taken.
I think it was, thinking about being tired, it was 2019 last year. Jay, myself, another guy, fellow Costa and Pankaj, we were sort of in proximity. I have never been so tired in my life. We ended up at some Indian restaurant on 24th. I could barely even take my camera and put it onto the table.
Oh no.
And just like, bring us beer, bring us beer. We were so exhausted. And I fully realized that we don't have the same challenges that the performers do.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine dancing in high heels for 2 miles. But still, I think a lot of people just think, oh, you photographers, it's just so fun. You just, you know, carry a little camera around, but it can get tiring.
Well,
Walking,
plus it's
walking
hot.
backwards.
What's that, Jerry?
Walking backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Walking backwards with 30 pounds on your back.
Exactly.
That's what I always say. You go walk around all day with a backpack of 30 pounds on you and something around your neck.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
My phone, I think it was 2018, measured the steps, and I took 23,000 steps in those 5 hours of the parade. It was insane.
Whoa.
because of what Terry's saying, forward, backward, and Terry, what about you? What are your favorite vantage points between the parade, the stage, and the festival?
Yeah, I like the staging. I like to get there early, mostly so I can park my car. But it's interesting because mostly I do a lot of social justice photography, but on the Carnival, I like portraitures. So I really like just sharp, in-your-face portraitures, eyes on, if I can get them. I do connect with a lot of the people. I do the street scenes. I do all that other stuff, but I really enjoy the portraitures. That's my favorite. And as you saw from what I did post, you know.
Sure. And Michael Ray, what are your favorite parts of shooting Carnival?
My favorite part is getting there before. I like the start of it as they're getting ready, preparing. And just like Terry said, just making a connection with the people you know. You just get lost in the crowds because some of these groups are so, you know, so colorful. You don't know which way to go. You just walk through. It's like a shark walking through the water. You're seeing something, and it's like amazing. You're like, wow. You turn left, you turn right. You're like, who do I take a picture of? And you really just don't have a choice. And then by the time you're ready to go, the parade started. So now you got to run around and get to the parade.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I do.
Ken, what about yourself?
Well, I do like getting there early so I can get the practice sessions, and folks are more comfortable, and I can get portraits, I can get group shots. But I also like to the Aquarella invited me a couple of years to photograph their practice sessions at the Finish Hall in Berkeley. And so I'm really enjoying that, getting with the group. And occasionally I'll even dance with them.
Wow. And Amanda, I know, of course, your number one favorite thing is handing out passes. Your number two favorite thing is receiving complaints. But beyond those two, what are your favorite things to do?
Well, number 3 is crowd control. And getting those people without passes off my route. Just the ones that are laying down in the middle of the path in front of the groups. Those are the ones I try to mark on. No, but for me, I really like to kind of focus on the vendors at the festival. And I really like when people are getting ready, whether it's at the stages at the festival or pre-parade, focusing in on the costumes and the details. So I really like to go around to the vendors and everything they're selling and really get in deep and do a lot of like detail shots of those. Of course, I love the group performances and everything, but that's just one of my favorite things. And I like to walk around and even talk to and photograph the vendors that are selling food and stuff, because they don't get a lot of attention and no one's really asking to take their picture. So it's kind of a fun thing just to remind myself of how much deeper it is than just the glitz and the glamour, you know, and the volunteers and stuff. I love to take pictures of the volunteers and catch people and catch the other photographers and kind of that stuff. Try to catch the things that maybe other people aren't looking at so much.
No, for sure.
So yeah.
Jay, do you have favorites between the festival and the parade? From the stage?
Yeah, I mean, again, coming early, so that's where you can kind of get your best shots. I mean, the thing is, you're more relaxed. The parade is a lot of moving parts there, so you're shooting in continuous mode. You get lucky, you get good shots. Yeah, so the coming early really helps. I like the festival. It is just fun to be part of the festival. Just enjoy. I mean, watch all the different performances. I mean, it's much more relaxed. I mean, of course, you need to walk back and forth. By the end of the day, you will be tired, but still it is fun.
Yesterday, I got to be part of the interview with Aquarella that Ken was referring to. And one of the women there, I don't remember her name, but she's been with them about 10 years. And Rodrigo, who was doing the interview, said, what is your like favorite thing or favorite memory or most important thing from Carnival? And without a pause, she said, as soon as I get home, I go to see what the photographers have posted, and I'm just scouring the internet to see what all the photographers, and I just want to see what I look like in all the photos. So our work isn't more important to a lot of people than maybe we realize, you know, and I think it is an important contribution.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, there are certain things that most people try to focus on Carnival. There's specific groups or specific people that usually get the attention, and it's when you get the people that are third or fourth back in line in the groups, or you know, the kids or something, where that you can get that special moment. I know how much it means to them when they, like you said, Robert, when everyone's scouring through and they see pictures of themselves or their family or their group. It means the world to them. Because they, like you said, it's moving parts, Jay, and everyone's going so fast. Even though usually the groups have a photographer walk with them, they're just not able to capture the thing same as them coming at us and us looking at it, you know, from a fresh perspective.
Exactly. Okay, let's go on to Terry's photos. I know who this is, Terry, but you can tell us.
Well, this is Ralph, and this was probably one of my best shots ever. He was across the road from me. I took that with a 300, and but he was just eyes on me or something near me, but he was looking straight at me as far as I'm concerned. I've seen him in many costumes over the years, but this is by far the best. This photo was in the Marin County Fair. It was actually donated to Esforzo's silent auction, and somebody bought it for some ungodly amount of money. I printed it in metal. So it's just a really, really good photo. And Ralph, of course, likes it a lot. So that's the best part.
And for those who are not aware, because most people in San Francisco wouldn't know this, and there'll maybe be people around the world looking at this, but this gentleman, Ralph, he's like the most, he's a roller, you don't say blader, roller skater, and he always has the most extravagant costumes. But in the daytime, in his regular job, I believe he's a project manager. Yes, I ran into him one time in downtown SF, and you would never guess that this mild-mannered gentleman transforms himself into this very different, amazing creature.
Yep.
Wow.
It's like an alternate personality. Oh, I know where this was taken.
We were all there together. I think I don't know. I was shooting with a 35 millimeter. Probably it was a 16 to 35. I just caught this. I have no idea how. Didn't know I'd caught it until later.
Wow.
But boy, the high splits, man, it was just phenomenal. That was a good event, that Dolores Park. We really got close to those groups that showed up. Robert, you were there. Amanda was there. A lot of us were there.
Yeah, this was also our 40th celebration. We did a costume preview with the groups, and This was actually our Carnival King.
Yep.
From that year, and that was incredibly special, and to the point where the next year it was like, well, when's the photo shoot? The groups were asking us, well, when is it happening? And I was like, oh, that was this, but okay, let's do it. So yeah, they really had a great time, and it was the first time they were, you know, showing some of their costumes, and some refused and only wore last year's costumes because they wouldn't wait. They'd only debut it at Carnival. Yeah. But it was so fun to have them use that space and have the incredible background. It was a good time.
And again, for those that are not really local to San Francisco watching this, this is the world famous Dolores Park, which is a very popular place in the city.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who this is again.
Oh, this is Chrissy, and I have been working with the Forso and the previous group for several years now. I do the rehearsals. I'm connected to. I've done several of their their fundraising events and stuff like that. So this is a special group to me. They're Marin County. I'm in Marin. I know almost all of them. I did their first rehearsal this year, and it always starts out with me making a little speech, and it's basically say, if you see my lens looking at you, you better smile.
Yeah, I mean, I know her quite well now, and she's just such an amazing, wonderful, giving person. And this photo that you took just captures her inner joy.
Absolutely.
Yes,
she's got enormous energy.
Chrissy is one of our competitors for Carnival Queen, and she was runner-up this last year.
Yep.
So.
Oh, I know who this is.
Jennifer Testa, friend of mine.
So shy. She's so shy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, she loves the lens. And actually, it's very interesting on her because we were just messing around one time, and she showed me her camera, and I said, you should do some photography. So now she's a photographer.
Wow.
So she's been working with Costa and everybody doing San Francisco photo walks. She might have worked with you, Robert. I'm not sure who she's going out with, but she's turning into a reasonably accomplished photographer as well.
Yeah, she's doing some really great work.
And I knew you had inspired her, Terry. And then when she started coming out, it was like I just couldn't juxtapose. And it was, my prejudice, I guess. You're a dancer, but she's actually an amazing photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I handed her off to Costa.
Lucky Costa.
I think this was at Dolores Park, but I don't remember this couple.
Yeah, they I don't think they were
La Cumbiamba, Colombia, yeah.
Right, yeah. Very sensitive moment. I just happen to love this photo. I'm hoping that they are actually a real couple, because otherwise I got both of them in trouble.
Yeah, it might be Viva La Terre though. They're Colombian.
Oh, you're right.
It's one of those groups, but yeah, we'll have to double check this.
Yeah, it's Viva La Terre.
Viva La Terre.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's
Angelita.
Angelita.
Yeah, she is of the family. So and I actually have done an event for her. She had a car show up in Petaluma last year. So yeah, I connect with a lot of these folks. They're really, really wonderful people. So.
I know you're very close in their hearts, Terry. They all talk very fondly of you. Too big to preview.
Oh, that, yeah, I had, that is, there you go.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the photo.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that one was in a TIFF. I did load it up separately on Facebook. It did take on Instagram. But this guy, I just happen to like smoke. Anybody who's seen my business card with the cigar smoker knows how much I like smoke. But once again, as Jay said, when you get them eyes on, you got a great photo, and I try for that if I can do it.
What year was this? Do you remember?
This was last year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2019.
Oh, a cool shot.
So this shot, not eyes on, and Rodrigo sent me a note, wanted to use the photo, and I couldn't understand. I know it's a good photo, but the eyes weren't on me or whatever, And then I realized once I saw the Mardi Gras marketing piece that he used it for, that she's actually looking at the words in the piece.
That's exactly why we wanted to
And
pull
so
it. Yes.
I had no idea, because I'm just a photographer. But once I saw the piece, I just loved it. It was just wonderful. It's a perfect shot. So, and once and
Is this
again,
was it from the parade? From a parade?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But again, it's portraiture. I love sharp images, and we all know it's really hard to get sharp images in the parade.
Yeah.
Everybody's moving, it's just catch as catch can. So, and I'm mostly shooting with a 2.8.
Oh, look at this. Where was this taken?
This was taken at that club that is,
Besop Baobab.
yeah,
I was with you, Terry.
the Sherman Elementary,
Yeah.
and they posed for me, and I thought it was just a great photo. These kids had a lot of energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good combination of white and red. I like that.
Yep. And this is done at the staging area last year. Stephanie and their Viva la Diva.
Viva la Viva from sort of the northern Silicon Valley.
Right. Very colorful. And again, they posed. So it was and that's the thing, like Jay said, in the Michael as well. The staging area is a lot of fun. I mean, if you're going to get any decent shots, quite often that's where it's going to be at.
Okay, let's move on to Ken's. He was the next person, I believe, who submitted.
Yeah, and let's if everyone else can mute. If you're not talking, that'd be great. Thanks.
Ken, tell us about this photo.
Had to unmute. I had the opportunity to help pass out the passes. And so I felt I was a little late for things. So I ran around to the end where things would wind up, or near the end, and got a straight on shot of Carnival. And before, I've always gotten it in the turn. And I've wanted to get it straight on. So I succeeded this time.
Were you it looks like you're very close to the ground.
I was probably squatting.
Okay, very cool shot.
And I don't know the name of this group, but I was just entranced with their walking up and just grab the shot.
Hey, as Amanda was asking, and we'll go back to ask Terry the same, how long have you been shooting Carnival for, Ken?
Since 2011.
Okay.
I got into Samba in 2010 and then got introduced to Carnival a year later.
Terry, yourself?
What's that? Oh, Terry.
Terry, just because we forgot, how long have you been shooting Carnival, Terry?
Since 15, but with the photography group since 17.
Okay, cool. So Ken, tell us about this photo.
Well, I know most of the people in this photo, and it's actually a composite of two photos because I was too close to get them all in one shot with my camera. So I took two shots and then stitched them together.
Where's the divide?
Right about there.
Like left
on Wendy is the one who's lying down.
Yeah.
And so it was right about through her waist.
Oh, so it's top and bottom stitching?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Uh-oh. Your friend Anat is being arrested.
Yep. But she later got loose.
That's a neat shot.
I have to say, I absolutely love when the dancers mess with the cops and dance with them. It's one of my favorite things to try to capture. It's so fun.
And this was a king of Carnival. His name escapes me, but 2 years ago, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, it was either 2017 or 18.
When Tiombe was the queen.
Yeah, 17.
17. Very cool shot. Oh, nice.
I had to capture the smoke.
Yeah, it adds such a mystery to the photo. Oh, adorable.
She was so incredibly cute, and she loved to pose. So I think I took about six shots of her.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ken. Oh, Ralph.
Here's Ralph, and he's got a camera. I don't know whether he really took a photo of me, but he was.
Yeah, I've
certainly
noticed
pointing
that lately Ralph's he has his camera out a lot now when I see him at in festivals and parades.
He's one hell of a skater.
Yeah, this one shows the roller skates for everybody to see. What group was this? Was this the Texas group?
I don't know.
Was it last year?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think it was 2 years ago.
interesting.
And part of it, I wanted to catch the mission sign. And so I was waiting for this group to pass. She turned around and I grabbed it.
Yeah, it's very sharp. That's great.
And I don't know who she is, but I've seen her a few years. And seemed to me this said it didn't matter if you had disabilities, you could participate.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that king, the Carnival king we just saw a picture of, he is hearing impaired, and
Oh,
he
really?
was our Carnival king. So yeah, it's very much inclusive, and so many incredible cultures coming together. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you. Those were wonderful. Mr. Ray, you're up next, sir. Michael, how long have you been shooting Carnival for?
Since 2017.
Oh, wow.
This picture here, again, this was part of the staging area. The girls were they were practicing on the side, and I just, like we all said, that when you try to get that eye connection, I try to get all eye connection if I can, and boom, took this shot.
Very nice.
Same thing as I was walking around the crowd, looking at the street. These girls were relaxing. Again, they were just taking a break and enjoying themselves, smiling. Looked like they were on the phone. I took a couple pictures of them. They were on the phone, and then, of course, making that eye connection, boom, snapped the picture, and they love pictures, so took advantage of it. And again, this, I had to crawl through the crowd because all the adults were dancing, so I couldn't really see her. So then when I got her attention, I made friends with, of course, the mother and the family. So I am familiar with this group. I just ducked down. She posed for me, and I just snapped her picture.
So her name is Martina. This is La Cumbiamba Colombiana. And for those who are not aware, her mother, Christina, just passed away from cancer. And so Martina is back in Colombia now. She's about 4 years old, living with her aunt. And that's where she'll grow up. And it's a sad story, but there's a lot of love being sent to her family and to her.
Absolutely.
But that's the close connection, I'm about to start crying, but that a lot of us photographers make with all the participants of Carnival. It's a beautiful photo. Thank you, Michael.
Another picture, I know this group as well. I know some of the people there. So I saw them sitting next to this VW Bug. I was like, oh, this would be a perfect picture. So I asked them, hey, would you mind sitting in front of the Bug? And I snapped their picture, and they just loved it. So
I think it's Mission Cultural Center, right?
yes.
Yeah. Very nice.
Another one, just going through the crowd. This is a very large group, and the mother's in the middle, the daughter's on the left side there. So they were family, and she asked me, hey, would you mind taking a picture of us? And of course. And I thought it was a great picture, pretty smiles, just make a connection.
Is this Fogo na Roupa?
I think so, because remember, they have different colors. They have different colors all through the their crew.
Right. Yeah, great shot.
This shot here, I was on the side of the street and I just seen her with her friend. She was with her friend. She was just dancing and bouncing to all the music and the sound. And then again, I just made that connection with her and she just posed for me and I just snapped it. I thought this was my best picture. I just loved their energy, the smile.
Yeah, this is
color.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, really nice. Such an elaborate costume too.
Absolutely. Another picture, the girls were relaxed and they were sitting on the corner. Again, this is the time when I was just sitting in the middle and the girls were sitting down. I just thought it was a perfect moment. They were all smiling, having fun, and took the picture. Again, making that connection, that eye contact.
Did you do some special post-processing on this? I can't really put in words, but it looks a bit like HDR surrealish.
A little. I had like 3 or 4 different kind of styles that I like. You know, I always like bringing out the colors of the outfits that they're wearing. So yes, a little bit.
That's cool. Oh my God. Yeah, this is Fogo.
This is definitely Fogo. So I got the whole group to pose. I was there for so long, you know, so everybody just said it pose up for a picture and I was able to capture that, everything in the middle.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's not, the group's actually even bigger than that, believe it or not, but I think that's a large part of the portion of the dancers. That's a great shot. Oh, cool.
This again, I was in the middle of that group with Natalia. This is Natalia and her daughter's on the left, and then her, I think it's her niece is the one in the middle, and then that's their cousin. So they're all family. And then also their son was involved in this as well. So of course you got to take a picture, you build those connections, and that's what I did.
Amazing.
Again, this is second year, so I got to know that group as well. So, you know, I think she was one of the leads of that parade of her group. And I caught her, you know, I think this is her husband that she's getting the, and of course she caught me and she posed for me.
Let's hope it's her husband. Okay.
It is, I think so. Yep.
Amanda, did you put some submissions in here we could go through? Oh, there we go. Amanda, tell us about yourself. How long have you been shooting Carnival and what do you do for Carnival nowadays?
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area, so I've been coming to Carnival since I was younger, but I've probably been photographing it since about 2015 when I started taking photography a little more seriously. And then I met Robert through another photography group and found out that he was volunteering with Carnival. And I've lived in the Mission for 9 years now and, you know, really would like to be involved in where I live. And it's one of my favorite things to photograph. You know, everyone's in such a great mood and there's so many colors. It was such an easy way to kind of break into photography and, you know, portraiture and, you know, active shots, and you get to practice so many different things. And, you know, after I started volunteering with you, Robert, and kind of started helping direct the photography for Carnival. So we have so many events throughout the year, from fundraisers to Mardi Gras and practices and things. And the Carnival team meets every Monday all year long preparing for that weekend and everything that we do. And there's a lot of logistics and things. So I help coordinate the photography passes, and thank you, Ken, last year, and help make sure that we have photographers to cover the different events and make sure we get the exposure we need, and just really try to help things run a little bit smoother. Carnival's always been incredibly inclusive as to allowing just independent hobby photographers come out on the parade route as long as they sign up. So we've always been trying to be inclusive of everyone and not be so restrictive. And, you know, we've had to cut down because as it gets more popular and everyone has a camera, we get a lot of people wanting to photograph. And so we basically, Robert and I have worked hard over the past few years with the photographers that do show up from this group we're interviewing now, but we also have Telemundo helps come out. You know, CBS covers the event. Acción Latina, the other photographers and videographers that work with Calle 24, and we try to coordinate with First Exposure and get the kids out from there. And this last year, we, you know, try to put out the word to get kids to partner with some of us photographers and walk the route with us. And that was really, really fun in 2019. I had a young girl named Kim here from the mission who's a photographer and was just graduating high school, and she got to come, you know, pair up with me. And, you know, I just love the ability to give back to the community and capture the energy and the color, and the exact reason I moved into the mission in the first place. So I just feel like it's our obligation to know where we live and to participate. And then I get to be involved in such an amazing, fun organization. It's definitely worth every sore foot and sore shoulder.
For sure. No, thank you
And
for
I
that.
these are just my top 10 from last year. I just finished my last final, graduating with my degree in photography. So I've been kind of busy, but these are my top 10 from the 2019 Carnival.
So is this a kid wearing that costume or just somebody kneeling down? I can't really tell.
He's low to the ground, and this is actually from the Day of the Dead celebration.
Oh, okay.
Prior, when we had the Coco release and fundraiser at the Alamo Draft House. So this was during the blessing in the beginning. And like Terry was saying, it's incredibly hard to capture any kind of sharpness in motion. And the blur in this with just a tiny bit of sharpness, I just really loved the energy of it. And just, you can feel the life in it.
Is this from the same event?
Yeah, this is from the same event. This is actually, this was not the one I meant to upload, but that family and that kid with his lowrider bike shows up for all the different events, and he's just incredibly fun and photogenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I may have, maybe these might all be from that same event. That's the same.
Carnival-esque.
Yeah, the Day of the Dead event again. These are all people that participate in Carnival and these events throughout the year. So this was out front from the Coco release. And same, all the lowriders were out. Here's from the parade.
I think I know who that lady in the car is.
Yeah, so the mayor, you know, has to show up for Carnival properly in a lowrider. So that's always fun to capture her.
I must say, because I don't know if I have a shot here, but this is at the 24th and South Van Ness, and this has traditionally been my #1 favorite spot to shoot because I love the mural behind, and I also love the trees. And if you sort of look to the left, the contingents come along and they're sort of covered in darkness, and then they come out of the trees there. I shouldn't be giving away these secrets, but this is my #1 favorite place to shoot the Carnival parade.
Yep.
And
and when it's days where it's really, really bright and you've been out there for 4 or 5 hours, the shade is a really nice thing.
Although maybe we should cover up House of Breaks with a tarp or something, just temporarily.
And I love to try to fill the frame when I take pictures a lot of times and try to isolate. So the green on the blue, it was just really striking and caught her in the middle of the dance.
Oh, cool shot.
Yeah, it's the one that's behind me now. That's pretty much the essence of Carnival. And, you know, it's one of the amazing things to see these groups and see all the children, you know, learning this culture and this community and having such a good time. Like this, you know, chuck full of kids was just perfect. And that is our Carnival King and Queen from 2019. Both of them were incredible, just the energy, their participation with the crowd, and showing up for other events throughout the season. They really they really took their royalties seriously, and just energetic fun. And you can, I don't know, you can see it on their faces.
I don't know his name, but I know he's with East Colombian, and you can tell from the colors. And he's with Sandra Cano's group in the East Bay. But he, after his float went down, he was running back and joining every other contingent. Like you said, he was completely into it, like super enthusiastic royalty. It was just really appreciated.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I prefer not to make eye contact and kind of catch more candid moments. These are more my favorite kind of moments with people.
You have really good bokeh in this where she's in focus, but in the back it's not so in focus. That's really well done.
Thank you.
Oh, nice shot.
Yeah, it's looking a little blurry in here, but yeah, just the filling the frame with such color and life. It's just so fun. Yeah, these are looking like my low res. But yeah, I also really enjoy going to the different lowrider events and capturing them. It's so much fun, and I really love working with the reflections on them because they're so shiny.
Oh, nice shot.
Yeah, just catching the joy and the happiness that everyone coming together. There's so many thousands of people come out, and we rarely have any bad things happen. Everyone's just there to have a great time, and it's such a great mood. It's so much fun.
And you framed her face with her own hands. That's really very well done. I like that.
Thank you.
I think
that's it. Yeah.
That's the last one. Let me quickly go through mine, and then I have a technical question for you all. I changed my 10 last minute, so, well, some of them.
So Robert, when did you start photographing Carnival?
I moved to San Francisco in April 2014, and there was a re-inauguration or re-commemoration of that mural that you captured at 24th and Van Ness in December 2014. And I just wanted to get involved with the community like you did. I was living across from Dolores Park at the time, and I just read about it. I went over to the event, and there was all this Carnival connections with that, of course. And because of the photos that I took, which I often do and published on the Carnival page, like whatever the connection is, I published some photos. And then a lady named Amy Valet, she contacted me about 6 months later and asked me if I wanted to get more involved with Carnival. And yeah, my life's not been the same since. It's been quite the roller coaster ride. So that's what all started it. And sometimes you just make a little contribution to the community, and it just comes back in amazing ways. So this is the 20th Street stage, looking down, I think, with a fisheye lens, and I think I cropped it, of one of the contingents going out to dance in front of the stage. And you can't see most people's face, but I just sort of love how tightly packed everybody is, and it's such a different kind of perspective that I really like this photo. And it's just one of those things that I go, oh, there's people down there. Click, like I just kind of click with my older camera with the fisheye lens, and it turns out to be like sort of fortuitous.
And that just kind of is a summary of Carnival is just a sea of color.
Just like this photo here, this is one of the, like Jay was talking about his best photo. This is one of the best photos I ever took. I was walking from 24th and Bryant toward 24th and Mission, just looked back, and then with a zoom lens, took this shot like very quickly, didn't think anything of it. And then I suddenly, got back to my place and, oh, that actually is pretty good. And yeah, so this, I really love this photo.
And, for those that don't know, Robert has been director of photography before me, and continues to do that, and has been helping conduct all the videos and interviews of all the Carnival Live that's been happening. So yeah, we appreciate that.
I do my best with the time I have available. So this photo was actually published in a magazine, and obviously, so it was like a regular photo, and then I used a special effect to, do the warping around, and they really liked it, so they published it in a magazine about 3 years ago, I think. And yeah, colorful shot, and my thing always is to have generally one subject, and then take the viewer's eye and push it towards whatever the subject is. And so I really sort of like the way this turned out. This one, yeah, just really got lucky. I think it's a sharp photo, and of the native group, and at one of the points in the parade. This is Martina again at one of the practices. I'm blessed that I last year I got to go to almost every single La Cumbiamba Colombiana practice. I think this one was in Berkeley, and she was so shy. She was probably 3 years old at this point, and she was so shy. And then as the weeks went on, she came a bit out of her shell. And but because of what happened with her mom, this will always have special significance with her. And then this is one of these photos, again, walking, same thing, walking away. And I saw another photographer crouch down in front of this car. So I didn't see this little girl. And I was just curious, what's he taking photos of? And then there's this delightful little Mexican-American girl. I now know the whole family. And just turned around and started taking some shots. And it just turned out to be one of the best photos I've ever taken at Carnival. So just, again, fortuitous luck. This is a lady who, well, this was, I forget what it was called before, Law, LAW, and now it's Viva La Diva. And I just love the color, the bokeh effect, and so on. And yeah, so I like that. And then, yeah, this was, I'll hide that. This was Aboriginal Dancers, posed on Mission by 24th. And I hadn't looked at this photo till tonight. It's from 2015, I believe. And I just love all the colors. It turned out really well.
Yeah, this is really incredible. There's so much to look at, and the little girl in the front is just so wonderful.
I think it's the same group that Jay has that amazing photo of the woman in blue. I think that's the same group. So
yeah, this the Aztec group. Yeah.
And this is her name is Ayana. Again, as a photographer, you're just trying to take a lot of photos, and I didn't even realize at the time. I was just taking photo, and it just turned out so amazing. And I just love the fact that she's so sharp and clear in the middle. There's a bit of a bokeh effect with the people behind, and I ended up getting this enlarged and gave this as a present to her at one of the royalty competitions. And Amanda kindly took some video of that and photos of that. And yeah, very special connection with her family. And this is La Cumbiamba Colombiana. This is Giselle, who now lives in North Carolina, but she would have come back if we had Carnival in May, which has been postponed, but she will come back whenever the parade's going to be. And just a very colorful thing. And I can't tell you all how much I love this group.
So Robert, you have to answer the question about what are your favorite things or times or places to capture throughout the whole weekend?
I would say staging and festival, staging and parade, the top two. And then the festival is great too, but sometimes tough to get photos, like when the groups are performing in front of the stages. As a photographer, I don't know if the rest of you feel this way, but like the 20th Street stage, well, it doesn't really matter what the stage is, but there's generally not a barricade between the audience and the performers. And I'm always have mixed feelings about, as a photographer, should I stand in front of other people? And I always get annoyed at photographers who will stand in front of children, stand in front of older people who've been waiting there for a long time. So I tend to just throw myself on the ground, the expense of my body, and take the photos. Do any of the rest of you have that sort of moral thing about getting the great photo versus obstructing the public?
I would agree with that, Robert. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we got those knee pads. I think Costa suggestions, like you said, I was dying once we were finish at the end of the parade, but, you know, just getting down on your knees, just getting out of people's way, trying to be a little bit courteous, you know, just to get those shots.
Yeah.
I just keep moving.
Yeah, but I think that the reason that we're talking to this group of photographers is because you all do show that respect, not only for the groups and what they're doing, but trying to make connections, but also respecting the space of other photographers and of the audience. It is a juggling act for sure, but it's an important one, and it's appreciated because it is hard to get those images. But it's so rewarding to the groups and for Carnival to have that material. So knee pads, butt pads, whatever you need, right, Robert?
A little inside baseball here thing, but like a week or two after the Carnival weekend, Amanda and I are, I was going to say blessed, but we're not. We get to hear the reports and the complaints. And I remember distinctly, I think it was 2 years ago, where there was one photographer, don't know who it was, but apparently he was super annoying, super offensive. And the first thing we asked was, did he have a photographer's pass? And the answer was no. Oh goodness, he wasn't one of ours. But
thank gosh, yeah. So
people, I will even say, with a photographer's pass, they just don't seem to respect the fact that there's this moving parade, there's these moving performers, and they're just so focused on getting that shot that they do obstruct some performers. Thankfully, it's a tiny minority of photographers who do that.
yeah, but you know, that's one of the things Robert and I have focused on and really tried to work on, is to make it a great space for everybody and try to, you know, get the bad actors out of there, because we want them to want us to be there and to help out. So we don't want to be that burden. You know, we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. We don't want to be the one that's laying in the middle of the road while the group has to walk around them, you know, things like that. Yeah. So, you know, it's a give and a take, and the groups that know the photographers, they're the ones that are reaching out and making the connections with you all, because they know the level of respect and that you'll give back. So
here's a technical question for you all. I'm just curious, which Jay touched upon earlier. He was saying that he shoots at aperture. So prior to this meeting, I was looking back at my 2015 photos, and there were a lot of shots that were like 1/125th of a second, 1/160th of a second. And because those slower shutter speeds, a lot of stuff was not in focus. With my newer equipment and just newer techniques, I tend to shoot in manual at 1/500th of a second with a very low aperture, because I like the bokeh effect, and often with the flash on. That's been my technique. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm curious, just to survey, what are some of your other your techniques for shooting sort of action shots of moving performers?
Well, my technique, I shoot with a flash as well, Robert, and I've always started at 250, you know, shutter speed, because they're always going to be moving. You know, they're never going to be still. So I always want to capture the moment and freeze them. So I always start right there, and then if I have to make adjustments, I'll move it from there. And I also shoot in manual as well. And
I think that for a lot of us, having the flash, it's so tricky. But when it is harsh light and bright, you know, you've got to get those shadows out a little bit, right? So I don't know, that really, does that, have you been, both of you, have you been shooting with the flash for the last couple of years, since the beginning?
Yeah, I would say for me, the last 2 years.
Yes. Yeah, I did a lot of that. And you're right, Amanda. I think at some of those sections, what I did when I was shooting the shots, I would just move the people away from the sun, because we had that harsh sun early in the morning. So we were just putting them up on the sidewalk, move them out the area so that sun would help us. And then sometimes I would turn that flash off, because sometimes we didn't need it.
I shoot an aperture, mostly because I'm doing a lot of portraiture. I'm usually in 2.8. If I have a flash, it's on one of the cameras, not on the one with the long lens. You know, it really depends on the lighting. I mean, if you got flat light, you don't really need the flash. You know, you can fix that in post-processing. But you know, it really depends on the circumstance. To me, this is a lot like doing social justice photography, rallies and stuff. You know, you're moving fast. You know, flashes, to me, the equipment just gets in your way. You know, and so you got to be cautious of it. But I always carry it with me. You never know.
Lenore,
I prefer not to use a flash. I usually start out at f.6 and maybe about 400, and then if I need to adjust, I'll move it around. And the ISO might be about 125. It kind of depends, but I'm trying to avoid the bright sun also. And actually, I try to anticipate the moment, and usually because I'm on the same corner, I kind of know what people might be doing. So I just try to wait for the moment and just keep firing away.
Ken?
Well, before I go out, I take a look at what I shot the previous year and see what didn't work. And then by a process of elimination, I use what did work. But I use aperture priority. I don't use flash. I don't like carrying around the weight. Matter of fact, even my real camera is sometimes too heavy for me. But having said that, I have used the onboard flash a couple times, which is really lousy, but I've used it for fill flash, and then I'll take out a white handkerchief and put it over it to kind of diffuse it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that can work under difficult situations. But in general, I don't use flash.
Michael Kirshner?
I don't use flash. I never have. I never learned how to use it. Musicians don't like flash in their face while they're playing, so I kind of never learned how to use it. And every time I tried, I think last year at Carnival, and just blew a ton of shots. So I shoot typically shutter priority up around 1/640th of a second, or 1/500th, somewhere around there, and let the aperture fall where it may, because I'm usually shooting really wide angle and depth of field is irrelevant. So and because the sensors are so large, noise is also irrelevant. You can shoot 1/400th one, or I'm sorry, ISO 400, ISO 800, and it's fine. It's just fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Jay?
Me, Robert?
Yeah, what you
Oh,
do?
yeah. So, yeah, as I mentioned, I think in the staging area, definitely do manual, and I'll be mostly using the 85 lens there. I mean, taking a lot of portraits. I like doing portraits there. But during the parade, mostly I live with the aperture priority. And I pray for good weather along with that. So that actually helps. Last year it was fun. It was raining during the parade, when the start of the parade. And that, of course, that also gives interesting shots, especially when the lowrider cars were going. It was actually raining, and we got some reflections and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that was fun. Good weather also helps.
One big change for me, some of you know, I had this in 2011, I bought my first Nikon D7000. It's a DX camera, and I bought with it a 28 to 300 millimeter lens. If you're familiar with Nikon, you know this lens. It's not the sharpest lens, but 28 to 300 is so versatile, right? And I took that all over the world. And then after I got back from a trip, I think it was last year, I dropped it. And it's more expensive to do it. So anyway, it's just like, it wrecked my whole love of photography to not have that lens. But I just held off and held off and held off. And then Jay and our friend Pankaj said, get the 24 to 70. Get the 24 to 70. It's like a beautiful Nikon lens. It's expensive, but I waited and I waited and I waited, and I bought it. And now I love photography again. And as Jay has said, the thing is that lens, along with the sensor on my camera, the D850, is so sharp that you don't get that telephoto compression effect, but it's so sharp that you can shoot something far away, and when you zoom it in, it's maybe as sharp, if not sharper, than the 28 to 300 millimeter lens. So I guess it was a crutch for me, but whenever the Carnival parade comes back, be it in September or whenever, I'm going to try it with the 24 to 70. exclusively, and we'll see what happens. But I love that combination.
That's the go-to lens for most of my event photography is my 24 to 70 lens. That's the one that's on my camera all the time. Yeah.
But I still do like the what is it, 250 to 500 millimeter super telephoto that I rent for Fleet Week. But the problem with that is by the end of the day, your back is broken and you can't lift your arms. But it does give an interesting compression effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen one of those extremely wide range lenses that has good sharpness. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be compromises, right?
Exactly.
They're inexpensive lenses anyway, so
Exactly.
no great loss, Robert. The 24 to 70s are beautiful.
Yeah, I know. It forced me into it. Amanda, I don't know if you have any more to say, but I mean, we've recorded this, and sort of our plan is to turn this. Well, Amanda, I guess you'll keep on posting the groups, the teams, everybody's photos, and then we have this beautiful video to share a photographer's insight of Carnival, which is completely different than everybody else, right? It's different from the performers, it's different from the audience. We have a very unique perspective, and I think some people might find it interesting, but we would cut it down to something more palatable for the youth.
We know the attention. We know the attention span. No, I just want to thank everybody for coming on and chatting today, and for all your hard work and for your love of the same thing that we love. It's such a good time, and it's really going to be missed this weekend. But there's going to be, we've got some surprises to go. There's some live performances happening, some groups, some bands. There's a little surprise celebration group's going to go live. I don't even know the details, so they're keeping it super tight-lipped.
But I think it's like, is it like 2 to 4 p.m. or is it a longer period on Sunday?
No, yeah, so Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. is going to be just continuous live stuff going on.